Sometimes they dig in the back of your leg.
So off they go now. A long, lonely race ahead for them. Emma Twigg will need to be conscious of her steering, and she has a glance over her left shoulder there and thinks, oops, I better get back, because she set off in the wrong direction.
But that's the great thing about the single, you can make an adjustment really quickly, really easily. Even though you don't want to, because you're obviously, once again, trying to get your whole speed up to maximum speed as soon as possible.
Yeah, well, the New Zealander's going walkabout here. She's just trying to keep a track of where she is in the river. It's interesting you mentioned that they can make an adjustment much quicker in a single compared to, say, an 8. And that also plays out in as much as leads can change hands, can't
boat
they?
speeds, like, you know, when you... Well, we saw it last year in the Diamonds, you know, with the Norwegian and Mahe. You know, Mahe was down. Borch, yeah. Sorry, I just forgot. I shouldn't forget, but yeah. And it was just how quickly it changed. And that's it, you know, when it starts going wrong in a single, the speed just drops so quickly. And there's nowhere to hide, unfortunately.
Yes, as your example, you probably picked the most dramatic single sculls race I've seen in the last 10 years.
We were commentating on that together, I think, as well, so I should remember the name. But yeah, it was an incredible race, that, and we'd summed up, never give up, because you never know what can happen, because in the single it is such a long race.
Look at it on the highlights. Borch against Drysdale last year. You called it outrageously early what was going to happen. You could tell, couldn't you, what was going to happen?
And that's, you know, we talk about experience and understanding. You get that sixth sense of knowing what's going to happen. And as an athlete, being able to react on that at the right time is really important.
Well, Emma Twigg here is reacting well under pressure from the Ukrainian Diana Dymchenko, but has regained her composure after a few wobbles past Temple Island with the steering, and now she's going to have to settle down into the race. And when I say it's such a much longer race in a single, only in terms of time, obviously not in terms of distance, but in terms of time, you're out in the water.
It's a long, long way.
20% longer, aren't you?
Yeah, it's a long way. It's lonely as well. There's no one to talk to. You got no one kind of. To kind of relay information to. There's no cocks, obviously. It's so lonely, so lonely.
And you haven't even got the distraction of a huge crowd yet. Later on today, and obviously tomorrow in the finals, they'll have big crowds cheering them down the water. But at the moment, it's as quiet as it will be today.
Dymchenko is really giving it. She's keeping her cadence or rate up. Tapping along, trying to put Emma Twigg under pressure.
And these are names we see on the international circuit every month when we go to World Cup and World Championship regattas. Dymchenko and Twigg are always big characters on the circuit, aren't they? Big competitors. Twigg's been around for seemingly years.
Yeah, and she won the second World Cup as well. She's returning. You know, this is her first season back since that 4th place in Rio, which I know was heartbreaking. It's a position you never want to finish, but you know, we kind of mentioned that hopefully this is her Olympiad to kind of get it right and get that Olympic medal.
Well, she'll want a good Henley here on her way to Rotterdam next weekend for the next World Cup regatta.
This is what I love about, you know, kind of especially the singles, the different styles, you know, the way they move. You've got the umpire.
Yeah, for the first time in this race, Emma Twigg has been told by the umpire to get back onto the buck station. I thought the umpire may intervene earlier, but I think Emma Twigg took it to the limit, didn't she, in terms of not having the umpire intervene. Oh, genius. Boom. I can tell you've woken up now. On commentary for 55 minutes. Mark Hunter earlier on admitting he's not really a morning person.
I don't have a choice now because I've got a little one. She's 18 months old and she's up at 5 every morning, so
we're close enough to lunch for Mark to crack out a few jokes.
No, and as we kind of touched on, the kind of wake up, everybody thinks that rowers really wake up early. I say in the old days when they weren't professional athletes, or you know, the way that we are funded now, they would train before work. But now that we, you know, the athletes will turn up to their training locations probably around 7:30, start stretching, so it's not crazy early, and they'll be up at like 6:30, 6:45, depending on how far they live from the boathouse.
Well, Emma Twigg here enjoying more than a length lead on Dymchenko. looking very relaxed into the flow of the race now.
And that's the great thing about it. You just saw, as she's raced up the track, there was never an ounce of panic as Dymchenko was sitting beside her. She was just in her rhythm, doing her thing. Just how confident she is in her ability.
Still a long way to go. Just keeping an eye on conditions. It's getting warmer, although the breeze in the last half hour has been significant. It'll be very hot for the rowers this afternoon.
Yeah, and that breeze is always nice on your back. You know, you always want a tailwind because it's quick, but when it's a tailwind, it doesn't cool you down. The headwind on your back sometimes, you know, cools your body down if you put a bit of water on your top. I used to put a t-shirt, I used to cover it in water, put it in the freezer, freeze it, put it on. That's a nice way to kind of keep cool.
So Emma Twigg stretching out her lead. Very keen to get this race done. And then resting up for the rest of the day, which is a big part of rowers' discipline. And for some of the younger rowers, not for Emma Twigg, because she's been so experienced on the circuit for so long, she'll know exactly how to kill off the time. But for some of the less experienced rowers who are reaching finals tomorrow, or even Jubilee heats that we saw that'll materialise into semi-finals later on, that discipline of learning how to fill your time without wasting energy is a skill to learn, isn't it?
Well, rowers are normally exceptional at sitting down, obviously, because we row sitting down, but you're like most athletes, you don't want to be on your feet. You want to be kind of laying down, feet up, sitting down, relaxing, because you want to maximize the energy you have for when it comes to racing. And the last thing you want to do is be walking around fatiguing yourself unnecessarily.
Yeah, you don't want people jumping around cat on a hot tin roof, do you? You need them to be calm. And the other point, a unique element to this Henley Royal Regatta, is when Emma goes over the finish line in a moment, presuming nothing untoward happens, she won't know what time she's rowing tomorrow, because they wait until the draw, whereas if you're rowing at Rotterdam next week, you already know exactly what time the final will be going. Yeah,
and I think that's a really special thing about Henley. There's no advice. There is obviously, if you're racing over in the day, then you've got more recovery time, but no one knows what time they're racing until end of racing, so everybody knows at the same time, and that's something I really like actually at Henley.
It's 8:30, 9 o'clock, isn't it?
Yeah, the schedule will go out for tomorrow, and then obviously everybody starts planning their kind of day of racing.
Which is fine nowadays. How on earth that works before the days of the internet, I've no idea.
Yeah.
Dymchenko pushing in front of Stewart just to keep Emma Twigg honest, and it's a good push, but I don't think it'll have an impact on the result, because Twigg is very aware of Dymchenko's place, and the Ukrainian, she has another glance over her shoulder. Now she is giving it to somebody.
She's trying to put under pressure.
And this could be one of those amazing turnarounds right at the end. Can Dymchenko turn this race around in the final few strokes up against Twigg? Not quite. Half a length it was in the end, but that was a frantic finish from the Ukrainian, who obviously had saved a bit, kept in the race, and made it a terrific finish.
Wow, that was a little bit of panic there. And we talked about how a single can change speed so quickly. That was a good demonstration of that there by Dymchenko.